Welcome to a brand spanking new episode of Nerd Central, the only show on cable television qualified to ask the question, how does nobody recognize Clark Kent as Superman? We have a fantastically bold show for you today with brand new installments of Scary Movie 202, underrated, roundtable reviews, and nerd games. But the really exciting part comes during Showdown. I will not spoil it for you, but I can tell you, it'll be very dramatic. But until then, let's kick it to the news of the week. It seems as if the original cast has, found a way back into the Jurassic Park franchise. While the hype was building up for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, the internet went wild when we discovered that Jeff Goldblum would be returning as Dr. Ian Malcolm. Of course, that led to disappointment when it turned out that Malcolm was only in one scene in the whole movie. Anyway, when it comes to Jurassic World 3, we have confirmation that Jeff Goldblum, Sam Neill, and Laura Dern will all be reprising their roles in the film. And that's pretty much the only thing we know about Jurassic World 3 at the moment, but we will keep you posted. In the rumor speculatory realm of news, we got Batman stuff to talk about. It seems very likely through recent posts and reports that Jonah Hill will be playing opposite to Robert Pattinson in The Batman. Whether he plays Penguin or Two-Face or Riddler, we don't really care, because considering this is some of the only news we've gotten about the Batman film since it kind of started production back in 2016. So what does this mean? It means that the Batman is finally progressing and may actually get made. Speaking of progress, I think it's about time we get to our first pack and see what Bailey has in store for us at Scary Movie 202. Take it away.
Hello, I'm Bailey Ramsey and welcome back to Scary Movie 202, where I'll be diving into different scary movies every week. This week we'll be looking at the 2018 film Truth or Dare. This movie is about a group of 7 college friends headed to Mexico for spring break. They're all having one heck of a time, and when they think it's getting more fun by sneaking into an old abandoned mission where they play Truth or Dare with a random guy named Carter that Olivia met at the bar. Things are getting fun with playing Truth or Dare until Carter tells Olivia that she should have told him to go away when they first met. He tells her that once you're asked, you're in. Don't do the truth, you die. Don't do the dare, you die. This really freaked Olivia out. They left the old mission and the next day headed back for school. Olivia keeps seeing Truth or Dare everywhere and believes that Ronnie is the one writing it everywhere. Olivia goes to the library looking for her best friend Marky. Someone she passes asked her truth or dare. She was confused, and then a whole group of people surrounded her with this weird smile on their face asking truth or dare. Olivia's freaked out and picks truth and ends up blurting out that her best friend was cheating on her boyfriend, which here comes some tea. Her BFF Marky and her boyfriend Lucas were in the library to hear. The truth or dare game continues in the order they were asked at the mission. It takes Ronnie's death and Lucas's turn to make the group realize that there is something wrong with this game. This movie is so freaking weird. The creepy smile people get on their face when they are asked truth or dare, it freaks me out. I will say it does add a good cringe to the movie that makes you want to look away because you don't want to be staring at a Snapchat filter looking face. I enjoy the added rule in the truth or dare because it caught me off guard when Penelope had to choose truth. The dare was so scary. She had to walk on the edge of the roof until her bottle of vodka was empty. And she ended up finishing it, but took a hard hit on Olivia's car. I also love how Calyx, who is the demon who possessed the game, gets around Olivia not wanting to tell Marky the truth about the night when her dad died. He dared her to tell Marky the truth. He is straight up a savage demon. He's got balls. This movie does a very good job of storytelling. It flows very nicely. It made me want to continue to watch the movie and find out if the group of friends were going to make it. I love how Olivia and Marcus do research on the mission and find a survivor to talk to. Miss Garcia tells the two of them that she summoned Calyx because of the abusive priest and he also ended up possessing their game. But the only way out of it is to say a spell 7 times, pour hot wax into a small pot, and the person who summoned must cut their tongue off. That is balls to the walls crazy. I couldn't imagine having to cut my own tongue out. That would be worse than being constipated. And if you haven't been constipated, well, it's really bad. The twist of Carter actually being Sam, who was the guy who released Calyx again, was awesome. I did not see that one coming. Sam wasn't quick enough of cutting his tongue off and died, so the game must end when all players die. Olivia made a smart, bold move by posting a video on the internet asking everyone who sees that video, truth or dare. The way this movie ended, I was hoping for a second one, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I'm giving this movie 9 out of 10 Ooga Boogas for the creativity of a simple game, the great scares, and the overall beautiful work. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Bailey Ransier, and this has been Scary Movie 202. I'll catch you next week when we look at Hush.
Thanks, Bailey. Time for a nice little transition with a pun. How dare you, Bob Iger? So, Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, wrote a book about his life or something like that. That's not the important part. The important part is we finally understand why some fans aren't satisfied with the Star Wars sequel trilogy. In the book, Iger states that when George Lucas handed over the franchise to Disney with his goodwill, he left them detailed notes on his intentions for how the Star Wars saga should progress. Disney threw these notes out the window and made up their own stuff. George Lucas has been quoted saying he, quote, felt as though he sold his kids to slavers, end quote. Ugh. Well, the prequels are super underrated. Underrated. Oh right! It's time to see what Katie has for us at Underrated. Take it away.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Storms from Xenon, and you are watching Disney Channel.
Welcome back to Underrated. I'm Katie, and this week we are going to be talking about Xenon, Girl of the 21st Century. Now, it's been a while since you may have seen Xenon on Disney Channel, so let me refresh your memory. The year is 2049, and Xenon is a 13-year-old girl living with her mom and dad on an Earth-orbiting space station. Xenon is a troublemaker, so much so that her parents punish her by sending her to Earth to live with her aunt. When Xenon meets people on Earth, she thinks that they're weird and they will have nothing in common, until eventually she meets some people who think it's cool that she's from outer space. While she's on Earth, she finds out that this bigwig is trying to destroy her home with a computer virus. When Xenon tells her parents of the plan, they are convinced it's just a ploy to try to get her back on the ship. That way she can see her pop idol, Protozoa. Yes, you heard me right, Protozoa. So, one of her Earth friends makes an antivirus to stop the other virus, but Xenon still has to find a way to get back to the space station. So, what else can she do? Then sneak onto her pop idol Protozoa's spacecraft and hitch a ride back up there. She gets noticed by the superstar, but he lets her stay because he recognizes her from being a fan. Once she gets back to the spaceship, the commander sees her and right away gets upset. But then he sees Xenon's aunt and decides to let her stay. Xenon loads her friend's antivirus onto the ship's computer and saves the day. I mean, that is typically how these types of movies end, as well as the bad guy getting locked up and ending the movie with a giant concert dance-off. I personally think this movie is pretty clever, and who knows, maybe in the future it will be realistic. I mean, if global warming keeps getting ignored, we could all end up in outer space, or maybe a different planet. No one really knows. Anyway, looking back on this movie, it is a typical Disney movie. I mean, a 13-year-old living her best life gets grounded, literally grounded, to Earth, where she doesn't fit in at a school, but has to get home to save the space station. I mean, if that doesn't scream Disney Channel movie, I don't know what does. And of course, you can't leave out the fantastic catchphrases, Nebular, Major, and the classic Zetus Lapidus. Xenon 21st Century Girl is underrated because not only is this movie never on Disney Channel anymore, but the slang we got out of this movie was amazing. I'd also like to mention that everything in this movie is bright and neon, from the clothes to the lights in the spacecraft, and I personally really like it. It makes the movie stand out from others. On a scale of 1 to 10 Mickey Mouse ears, I give Xenon the 21st Century Girl 7 Mickey Mouse ears. Although there are some extremely cheesy parts, I mean, were we really expecting anything else? I consider this to be one that really sticks out visually as well as the storyline. There aren't really any other Disney Channel movies like it, except for the sequels, but we don't talk about those. See you next week for another blast from the past.
Well, from one 21st century girl to another, thanks, Katie. Well, we're gonna have to take a quick break, but don't worry, we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Nerd Central, the only show that's qualified to answer the question about Superman we asked earlier. The lenses in Superman's glasses are made of special Kryptonian material that slightly skewer other people's perception of what Clark looks like. Not such a dumb disguise now, is it? Let's look at some trailers. Once again, last week's news is already outdated because of a new development. That's right, the Breaking Bad film El Camino has a new trailer. Ultimately, the trailer showed us most of the things we already knew. Jesse Pinkman, on the run, it's all after the series, but it seems there's a surprise in store for us as the last line of the trailer is delivered by a mysterious voice saying, "You ready?" Who could it be? Did Heisenberg fake his death? Did Hank survive? The only thing we do know is the answer to that question, and yes, we are ready. Get your best suits ready, pals, because we got a good old-fashioned gangsta movie coming out. The first trailer for the Robert De Niro film, The Irishman, has dropped, and that should get you excited because one of the best duos in the gangster genre are involved. What do I mean by that? I mean it's directed by Martin Scorsese, baby. It seems like an underdog story about a low-level mafia driver sticking it to the man, behavior that we highly encourage in our films. The Irishman hits theaters on November 1st and then will hop over to Netflix on November 27th. For our final trailer of interest, we have Frozen 2. This is a weird one because it seems very tonally different from the first one. Basically, the movie seems like Lord of the Rings with frozen characters. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, we will have to determine when it comes out on November 22nd. Wait, what's that? We have breaking news? OMG, we have breaking news! Marvel Studios and Sony have struck a deal. Your favorite webhead is back in the MCU for at least one more film. Spider-Man fans rejoice as you will not have to suffer through another unfinished Spider-Man trilogy. The web slinger will be putting his spandex on for one last swing, July 16th, 2021. Well, Cody may not have gotten a chance to see any of those movies, but he definitely did watch something, and for his sake, I hope it's higher quality than his last three. Take it away.
I'm Cody Nance, and welcome to Roundtable Review, the show within a show where either I watch a good movie, or more often than not, I watch a bad movie and get super upset about it. So what did I watch this week? Ad Astra? No! I watched Between Two Ferns, the movie, and I was extremely satisfied. Between Two Ferns is a mockumentary starring Zach Galifianakis based on the web series that mocks interview shows. In other words, that's a lot of levels of parody. It's a parodyception. Now, right off the bat, I can tell you that this movie probably isn't for everyone. It's a very different sense of humor for most things. The goal is to make you so uncomfortable and awkward that you laugh. And that is probably my favorite style of comedy. Next to the fast-talking smart aleck, of course. So, what is the premise of Two Ferns? Well, the Two Ferns studio got flooded and Matthew McConaughey almost drowned. So Will Ferrell, who is played by Will Ferrell, makes Zach Galifianakis, who plays Zach Galifianakis, take Two Ferns on the road and get 10 episodes done in 2 weeks. So it's also a road trip movie. This film has so many genres in one, and all of them are hilarious. My only complaint that I really have with this film is that the ending is a little bit cliche. But honestly, that's what I expect with a film like this, so it didn't bother me that much. It made me laugh, and that's pretty much the only emotion I expected or wanted. It's not like it's the funniest movie of all time, but it's the funniest movie I've seen in a while, on purpose, that is. So for that, Between Two Ferns, the movie, gets a 7 out of 10. Who would have thought a Netflix original would be the one to break the bad movie curse? Hopefully next week's film is great, because I really expect it to be. Until then, let's see how good Emma is at guessing song lyrics.
Hello, all you nerds out there, and welcome to Nerd Games. My name is Emma Bjork, and this week we are playing Finish That Song Lyric. My guest and I will be competing to see who can remember their Disney songs better. This week I have special guest, Ashley Beffa! Come feed the little birds, show them
You care?
Oh, wow.
It's
Okay.
rigged.
That was correct.
I got it right.
She got it right. Okay.
I know you. The gleam in your eyes is so familiar. A blank.
Oh. I know you. The gleam in your eyes is so familiar. A word. It's either gleam or dream. Gleam.
Oh, she was right. She was right. Okay.
So much anxiety. Okay. I want to know, can you blank me? I want to know about these strangers like me.
Ooh. I want to know, can you? We're gonna go with the Disney. Tell?
That's
No.
wrong. That's wrong.
But now he's blank and so unsure. I wonder how I didn't see it there before. If you don't get this, I don't know if we can be friends.
But now he's nice. That's definitely the lyric. But now he's here. Is that not it?
No, it was wrong.
I thought that was right.
No,
And now he's here. Isn't that
it
one of the
said it
lyrics?
was wrong. Sha-la-la-la-la-la, don't be scared, you got the... Oh. You got the mood prepared, go on and kiss the girl. Is that it? Sha-la-la-la-la-la, don't be scared, you got it all prepared, go on and... Should it be in the mood or at all? Can I phone a friend? Ring, ring.
Hello?
Emma, do you have any idea about what it would be? Sha-la-la-la-la-la, don't be scared, you got blank, blank prepared. I kind of want to go with it all.
You got it all. You got them.
I'm going to go with it all. Thanks, Emma.
Okay. No! It was
Probably
mood.
the mood.
I was gonna say there's a line about the mood, but I didn't know if it was that line.
I phoned you as a friend.
I'm
and you
sorry.
Thanks a lot. It ain't no trick to get rich quick if you blank, blank, blank with a shovel or a pick.
If you dig, dig, dig with a shovel or a pick. If you work, work. It's gotta be dig, right?
Yes,
I
it
knew
is.
that. Hesitantly, but I knew it. Well, thank you so much for coming out, Ashley. You have been an absolutely amazing guest. Join me next week for another epic nerd game.
Well done, Emma, but you have yet to face me. Okay, that's all the time we have for. But don't forget that after these commercials, we will have a very special showdown for you. Stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to Nerd Showdown, the part of Nerd Central where we battle it out on a particular subject we have no business debating. We have a special edition for you here today because we have a lover's quarrel and we'll be deciding what the best romance movie is. With me today I have a host of the Best Take over on KZLX, Kyle Harris. Kyle, what film have you chosen?
Annie Hall.
Very nice, very nice. And also with me is Kyle's girlfriend and my RA, Hannah Lucas. What film have you picking?
I've picked Stuck in Love.
All right, let's showdown. Kyle, tell me why Annie Hall is amazing.
Well, Annie Hall is like one of the most respected and admired rom-coms of all time. It's like the OG, the granddaddy that so many movies today pull from. Won 4 Oscars, including Best Picture in 1977. I think it does a really great job of setting a romantic tone, which is impressive because throughout the movie there are consistent fourth wall breaks and cuts to monologues and even an animation sequence. But throughout all of this, it keeps this really comfortable tone. It's never like madcap. It's very warm, which is important for a romantic movie. Keeping with that, it takes place in 70s New York, which is a very romantic setting for your movie. We have a lot of like sunset shots of the Brooklyn Bridge with 2 lovers on a park bench, in the distance. We have a lot of jazz music and Count Basie and his orchestra and that kind of stuff that really sets like an old school romantic mood, which I think is really fun. Overall, I love the film. I love its ending. I think it's got a great ending. The couple does not end up together. which was unique at the time because most romance movies, and especially comedies, had happy endings. So that's part of the reason that this movie was so iconic, is that it had a not so happy ending, a melancholy one. And of course, we have style icon Diane Keaton, who kind of like set a precedent with her costume in this movie.
All right. All right. Hannah, why is Stuck in Love the best romance movie?
Well, Stuck in Love is a movie about 3 love-like timelines. You've got the mom and the dad, and then their 2 kids who are all going through their own love things. So like the mom and dad are divorced, and then the oldest daughter like hates love and like wants to be promiscuous, but then falls in love. And then you have the like son who's the youngest, and he like is like, he loves love. Like he's just like in love with love and wants to be in love. And I think it really shows that love isn't like, it's not your typical romance movie where like everything falls into place and it's all yay, glitter, whatever. It's like real, and it shows that love is like something you have to work towards and something that doesn't just come like naturally all the time, and something you have to fight for. It also doesn't only cover love in like the sense of relationships, it covers love in the sense of family and how family can cause heartbreak and how family has its own kind of like romance or like its own love, and I think that's really cool. It may not be like the most artsy-fartsy shot film, but I think it's really nice. It has a, you know, like a gloomy kind of feel to it because it kind of goes over why love is not great all the time.
All right. Very good. Kyle, why does Stuck in Love suck at love?
We're comparing 2 films here, an Oscar-winning film and a straight-to-DVD movie. And it kind of shows that Stuck in Love is a straight-to-DVD movie. The writing is a little bit cheesy at times, but not in like a fun or romantic way, just in kind of like a, ooh, first draft way. The character pictured here in his jacket and button-down shirt fancies himself a musician at one point, and we're subjected to some pretty sad boy acoustic guitar music for a couple minutes, which is not really my cup of tea. Maybe it is if you're, you know, a 12-year-old girl or something. But it's not for me, and I don't think it really plays as well with like an older adult, mature audience. So yeah, I think it just kind of shows all across the board that this isn't exactly anyone's passion project.
Okay. Hannah, why does Annie Hall drop the ball?
Well, let's start with the director, producer, writer, and the like main character, the star of the show. It's Woody Allen. He has some allegations against him, and I think that takes away from the overall meaning of the film. You know, when you're spending your free time doing pretty much illegal, inappropriate, uncomfortable things to young women, it's hard to watch a romance film from you thinking, this is romantic. I think Kyle made a lot of points about why it's the best of like art-wise. It has all these different parts to it, and it's set in like New York. Like, I feel like that's not that romantic. New York's not that romantic of a place. It's smelly, it's gross, and I think they just try to make something out of it, and it's not really like a romantic place. They make it romantic. And that's the tea.
All right. Kyle, let's wrap it up. Why is Annie Hall the bestest?
Well, Hannah's called out New York for being not romantic enough, so I would definitely say that New York, at its worst, is still more romantic than like a color-corrected blue beach where a depressed, divorced dad is like philandering to escape his feelings in a deeper way. I think it's a romantic movie. Valentine's Day, Annie Hall is the movie you put on. There's a whole generation of people who fell in love with the film before all of this terribleness with Woody Allen came out. I definitely won't defend Woody himself. But if you're like me, you saw this movie before you knew about it, and you fell in love with it because it's an easy movie to fall in love with. And now I think it's still okay for audiences to rewatch that movie that they love.
Okay. Hannah, why does Nat Wolff deserve more recognition?
Well, first off, look at him. Second off, I think it's really impressive because Kyle goes out the film saying it's not as good as Woody Allen's and Annie Hall, but this is actually the director's first film he's ever written and directed, so I think it's done really well for that and has a really good cast with Logan Lerman and Nat Wolff and all of them. And I think it really does show you what romance is like in real life, and I think it has a good ending. It wraps up everything. The movie's in like a year. It starts on Thanksgiving and then it ends on the next Thanksgiving, unlike Annie Hall, who it ends like really sadly, and they have to recap the entire movie because it was so boring you can't remember it.
All right. This is a lot harder decision than I thought it was going to be. You both provided excellent arguments, but Hannah's argument was amazing. So Hannah, Stuck in Love is the winner.
Woo!
That's going to do it for this week. You can watch all of our previous episodes on the KNWT YouTube page. You can also follow KNWT on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And follow Nerd Central on Twitter at nerd_central_TV. Nerdmageddon is up next. We'll see you on the next week with an all-new Nerd Central.